How's it going, guys? Welcome to another episode here. Today we are talking about bare shaft tuning your Hoyt Satori. This is going to relate to basically any recurve out there. I've got a bare shaft here. As I stated in the last video, I'm shooting this year Easton Axis 5mm. These are 500 spines, and I have this thing set up with their stainless steel insert and 150 grain tip. I believe the stainless steel insert is 80 grains, I think. It's either 75 or 80, I'm not 100% sure. But you can check that out. So we got a lot of good weight up here in the front of the arrow. Gonna have some great FOC and kinetic energy for your recurve bow. I also have a lighted nock on here. You're going to want to bare shaft tune your bow exactly how you're going to have your arrow set up. So I'm going to shoot 150 grain broadhead with this insert, and I'm going to have a lighted nock on here. I have this arrow cut to about 29 inches carbon to carbon, so that is without the insert and the nock. Carbon to carbon, 29 inches. That's a good starting point for me. If you've never done this before, you might just want to start with a full length arrow and go from there. But going off the Easton charts, I knew that I needed a 500 spine arrow for my 45-pound Satori, and I think, be able to go down to about a 28.5, maybe 28-inch arrow. But we're going to start at 29 and work our way down. What you're going to need is some sort of a soft foam target. You're not going to want a bag target like that over there, because the problem is with bag targets is when the arrow hits, sometimes it can move around a little bit with the way that a bag target is made. You're going to want a soft foam target to where the arrow is going to go, in just straight as it came out of the bow. So what you're going to want to do is, and we'll go up here and shoot the Satori here in just a second, but I wanted to talk a little bit about your nock left, nock right, and what it all means. So if you are bare shaft tuning and you are getting consistent nock left, so basically your arrow is coming in at an angle, it's hitting the target, and when you walk up to it, it is nock left. The nock is pointing to the left. That means you have too weak of an arrow. Your arrow is too flexible, and you can do a few different things. You can change your weight of your point. So say if I was nock left too weak, I could maybe move down to a 125 grain point if I wanted to, or a different insert. But if you know that you want to shoot 150 grain, 200 grain, 125 grain head, whatever, you know what broadhead you want to shoot and what insert you want to shoot, then what you're going to do is start cutting this arrow down. I use hot melt when I'm doing this, so I could technically take the insert out if I wanted to and cut it from here, or you can cut it from back here on the nock side as well. Usually you have enough room that you're not going to run into your graphics here on the arrow shaft itself. I should be able to cut back here from the nock. One reason I do like to cut from the nock is because these things come very, very straight and flush from the factory. That's kind of how I like to put my inserts in, because I know that factory cut is going to be really straight, and we should get some really good spinning arrows that way. But anyway, so yeah, if you're nock left, you're going to be a weak arrow. So what you're going to do is start cutting this arrow down, maybe like a 1/4 inch at a time. Put it back together, square it off, put the nock back in, shoot it again until you get that perfectly straight arrow flight to stiffen up that arrow. Now, if for some reason you're getting nock right, that means your arrow is too stiff. And what you're going to have to do is try to weaken that arrow by adding tip weight. If you've already cut your arrow down, to say to 28, 29, whatever you think it is, and it needs to be, and you're getting nock right, you're going to have to go up in tip weight, whether that is a heavier insert or a heavier tip. You got to try to weaken that arrow to get it to fly straight. Most of the time, if you do it right and you cut your arrow a small amount at a time, maybe 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch at a time, you should be able to not worry about getting too stiff of an arrow. Where you're gonna run into too stiff of an arrow is maybe you've got too high of a spine, too stiff of an arrow to begin with. So say if I was shooting 400s out of this bow, more than likely I'm gonna have to maybe go up in tip weight to get this thing stiff or weak enough to shoot it out of that 45-pound bow. Now maybe if I was shooting a 50-pound bow, I could get away with 400s, but this 500 spine should work really good. So like I said, I've got this cut right now to 29 inches carbon to carbon. I think that's gonna be a good place to start. Let's walk back here. I'm gonna shoot this about 10 yards. That's where I like to bare shaft tune. Let's go back here, grab the Hoyt Satori, and shoot this thing a couple times and see if we're knock left, knock right, and hopefully it'll be pretty decent. We won't have to cut a whole lot off of this arrow. Okay guys, made it back here. I'm gonna give this thing a try and hopefully it's not too far off. I was gonna tell you, I do have my nocking point set already. I set this to a little bit over a 1/4 inch above center to start. You can start like 1/2 inch above, 1/4 inch above, and kind of figure that out while you're doing this bare shaft tuning. If you're getting like a really knock high or knock low, you can move. But I think we got a good starting point right here from what I've researched. So I would maybe start, if you got your new Satori, maybe start at a 1/2 inch high above center on your nocking point. See how that shoots. You can always move it down. Got it set up here. One thing you're gonna want to do when you're bare shaft tuning is, I and a lot of guys that shoot traditional archery are gonna cant the bow slightly. So that means you're gonna lean it over. And I do cant the bow slightly, but when you're bare shaft tuning, you want to try to hold this bow as straight up and down, like you're shooting a compound bow, as possible. And that's gonna help you get the truest flight with your bare shaft. So let's give a shot here. Here at about 10 yards and see if we're knock left or knock right. If I had to guess, I bet we're probably going to be a little bit weak on this arrow, so it's going to be a knock left, but let's find out. All right, so it looks like it's a little bit knock left. I'm going to run down there here and I'll show you that. Just grab the camera and walk on down here. All right guys, so as you can see, if you're looking straight down, we are at a slight angle here, which is knock left. That means we're a little bit weak, so that's good. That's a good thing. That means all we got to do is cut a little bit off of this. I bet if I cut maybe a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch off, we're going to get really, really good arrow flight. Let's go back and try it again to make sure it's not a fluke. All right, we are definitely knock left, guys. So I am going to run, cut a little bit off of this arrow here, and come back here and shoot it again. And hopefully, if I take about a 1/4, maybe a 1/2 inch off this arrow, we should have perfect arrow flight. And then we'll be ready to fletch these arrows up and get this bow really shooting well. All right, we are back in action here. Guys, I ended up taking a 1/2 of an inch off of this arrow. So now we are looking at carbon to carbon, which is what I said before is without the knock, without the insert, just the carbon shaft. Carbon to carbon, we are at 28.5 inches, and we are getting some absolutely dart perfect bare shaft arrow flight right now. I'll shoot one here for you. We'll walk up there and show you the difference. If you remember, we were knock left, and now we are absolutely just perfect, on the money. Just flying like a dart. Walk up there and show you guys. My target is oriented just slightly. It wasn't perfectly square, but from my angle, guys, we're getting absolutely perfect arrow flight now. It's just dead center. I'll go back here and shoot it one more time. I'm also thinking that I got my nocking point pretty good because my arrows are going into the target pretty straight. I'm not nock high or nock low that I can really tell. So shoot one more here. Try to kind of make sure I'm standing exactly even with the target so we're all squared up. I mean, a bullet. It's awesome, guys. It did not take much to get this Hoyt Satori tuned to shooting a bear shaft. Pretty excited about that. Now, all I'd have to do is cut my dozen arrows to that length, and we'd be ready to rock and roll. Fletch them up, and we're ready. Try broadheads, get them tuned. As good as that bear shaft is shooting, I don't think I will probably have to tune my broadheads much. I'm guessing they're going to fly really good. So, in a nutshell, guys, that is bear shaft tuning. We'll walk down here real quick. I'll show you that again. Just a perfect straight arrow into that target. Super happy with that, guys. Turn this around here. Super happy with this, guys. We have some really good arrow flight there. So my setup will end up being a 28.5-inch carbon to carbon with a lighted nock. Like I said, I think these are 80 or 75 grain inserts and the 150 grains up front. That's going to be a really good arrow there to shoot, guys. I'm going to go cut all the rest of them and get them all fletched up. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you learned something. Hopefully maybe this will, you know, give you guys a spark to try out traditional archery. But if not, you know, get out there with your compound still and do it. I still love hunting with my compound. This just traditional archery stuff is I just kind of fell in love with it. It's been a lot of fun to learn. It's definitely been a learning experience. So hopefully you've learned something today as well. God bless, guys. We'll see you in the next video.